let me veer away real quick because we're talking about technology, and something that I want to talk with you about is and how you have used technology, how you've been on top of some different trends on the internet to propel your experience in this world. So for people who don't know, you are the man behind the mask, Banished Beyond.
Banished Beyond, yeah.
And seeing those videos, it's been a little bit since those have been like really as popular. It's probably been
almost
since
10 years.
Yeah, I mean,
that's when it started, was 10 years ago.
Right. And
Over 10 years.
seeing, I think you kind of stopped once you were in the limelight with Cavaliers, and it was like, I'm out here and people know who I am, and I'm kind of gonna move away from this because I have to take this more seriously in some way. Mm-hmm. But what you kind of were able to do at this very specific moment in time with YouTube and being able to promote yourself and the irony and the meme-ness of it and just somehow creating something funny out of something we all take so seriously, drum corps so serious. And the video that I always go back to because it made me actually like laugh out loud is the BD08 video where they're playing the singles and you're doing the body and it's just cutting, you're like on the hilltop and you're in the elevator
across the lake.
And you're across the lake and you're like in the parking garage and it's like just funny. Like it's insane. You have the screen mask on and like knowing you versus seeing those videos like we're so different because like because you're like a funny guy, but you're like, as everyone can tell, like you're a very like soft-spoken, careful person and you're not this like outlandish, crazy person. You see those videos and there's like this expectation of who you would be and like that wasn't totally who you were when I met you, but I'm interested in like, why did you do that? How did you think of that?
This is a very good question. It was right after DCI Finals 2008.
Okay.
One of my good friends, Colin Pagel. We were big into YouTube, man. That's actually how we got so good. It was just like watching YouTube videos and just learning all the licks. You know, like YouTube was pretty new around 2006, so it was only like YouTube's second or third year.
Yeah.
And I was always like, hey man, did you see the Phantom Regiment video? Because they won drums that year. I was like, did you see this video? He's like, yeah, I already saw it. And I'm like, oh man, well, what about this blue dot? He's like, yeah, I saw it. It's like, dang, he's seen everything. I just wanted to show him something new. So I was like, okay, what if I just made a video and titled it like Phantom Regiment, but it's in my room, and then he just happens to see it because I guess. If you're searching for that specific thing, you'll always find it. You can sort of upload date. So I was like, okay, but maybe I'll put a mask on. I went in my closet and I found this Scream mask, and I was like, obviously it's me, but like I'm just gonna do it anyway, and I'm just gonna act like an idiot and learn the book and play it. So that was the first video I did, was Phantom Regiment 2008.
Right.
I was literally in shorts and a t-shirt and a mask.
Right.
And it was really just meant for him to see it. And it was just a stupid joke. And it ended up getting a lot of views and a lot of comments. And I was like, huh, this is crazy. So then I kind of saw it as a way to poke fun at other drum corps without, while being tasteful with it, without being malicious. So
importantly, might I add, you are a very good drummer. So these videos, you're doing all this crazy stuff. You're playing Phantom Regiment, those beats, but it's good. I think that's really, really important to highlight is that you have chops. So like if it was someone who was like crapping all over themselves, it probably wouldn't have hit as well.
Yeah. And I kind of took that opportunity to kind of show a little bit of my own experiences because I got cut so many times, like Blue Coats 04, 05, 06, Metro Line, Snare Line, Crossman 07. I've just been cut so many times, so it's like maybe I can make a joke out of all of these and kind of have this symbolic figure of, the audition experience, because I think almost everybody can relate to getting cut. When you're brand new, like you just don't know, like.
And you're doing these stupid things like AOL messaging the center snare, asking if you can play Diddy. Like you actually did that yourself.
I did, yeah. That's insane. Like thinking back, I'm 15-year-old JP, just like, hey, is this a good idea?
And Diddy's such a meme exercise as it is that it just fits together like so effortlessly.
Yeah. So I did those videos and I started making them audition videos. and the first thing that came to mind was the Blue Devils, the singles with the legs.
Right.
And I was just like kind of poking fun. I was like, man, that's a really funny body movement. Like I in my head at the time, I was like, I wonder why they would try that, but maybe I can kind of go off of that. So I learned the lick, and I had a lot of free time because I wasn't in college that semester. That's when I took the break to switch majors. So I had a lot of free time. So I drove around with my drum in my car, and I was like, man, this looks like a good spot for a video. So I just, set up and then make the video, like do the singles. And I was like, and then that day I just went around different places making that. So it ended up getting a ton of views. I think that was one of the most popular videos at the time. And I was like, man, I can keep doing this. So I saw, I was like, maybe I'll do a different core. I'll try cadets. So what I did, I just watched cadets videos for like 30 minutes so I can like kind of figure out the writing style. I was like, I really love Lion King. It's like my favorite movie, favorite soundtrack, still is. So I was like, man, maybe I'll do a cadets version of Lion King, like Circle of Life. Literally the dumbest idea ever, but it ended up blowing up. I wrote that lick and I recorded that all in the same night. I put out the music for it and everything. Made it seem like it was the actual audition piece. So Lion King 2009 audition, Circle of Life.
Right.
It had like rejoicing with the animals, like as the little subtext.
Yeah, which is actually hilarious because both, I think specifically Colin McNutt, who is at Boston now, but when he's at Cadets, he likes to write little like verbs and like actions in his music. So it's like super appropriate.
Yeah. So I did that. I've never auditioned for the Cadets, but I just felt like that would be a really funny juxtaposition, was like Circle of Life and then like East Coast rolls up to here,
Right.
like, so that was an interesting thing itself, because seeing everybody learn the lick and post the videos on YouTube, I was like, just more and more, I'm like, this is so insane. Like, it's blowing up. I'm seeing kids everywhere just learning like what I wrote as a joke.
How many, so by this point, how many like subscribers and views have you accumulated?
So I remember when I wrote that Cadets lick, I think the Blue Devils video was already up to like 50. And then
there's 50,000.
50,000. Yeah, sorry, 50,000 views. And then after the Cadets lick kind of blew up, I looked back at the Blue Devils video and it was at 100,000. I was like, and this is just in a couple of days. I was just like, whoa. YouTube you can definitely reach the world with it. So I just kept going with it, man. I did the Crossman audition. That was the Crossman 2007 audition. This is actually a true story. If you remember the video, I played eights and I got cut on that. January camp, I just showed up. I showed up to the Crossman camp. I didn't even get a call back. I didn't go to the previous camps.
Right.
Just showed up. Chris Hartman was the snare tech. And then I set up a drum like on the very end of the snare line. He's like, first thing, we play eights just to warm up. So I play eights. We finished. I'm like, oh yeah, man, this is gonna go well. And he's like, all right, man, grab a pad. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was on a pad for the rest of the weekend. And I was like, man, that's a funny experience, and I kind of want to put that in a video. So that was the reason for that one. Literally just playing eights and getting cut.
Right.
And then since I auditioned for Blue Coats so many times, I did a Blue Coats audition, but this one was on quads. I think I played like Flam 1, 2, 3 on that. So I wanted to joke about being able to play the most ridiculous things while doing the most ridiculous movements, but still actually kind of playing it accurately.
Right.
And I thought that was that's what made it successful. It's just like this.
Right.
You're doing body movement that makes no sense. There's no correlation. There's no timing in it. I was just like doing the wavy legs.
Right.
And yeah, it was huge, man. Off-World Percussion was this new company. They were just coming out with their own line of pads.
Right.
And I think they actually reached out to me, Dave Lauder. He emailed me and was like, hey, I'm coming out with this new practice pad. Would you like to promote it? I'll send you one. And I was like, sure, yeah, this sounds awesome. It's a practice pad with a rim, which at the time was that had never been done before. Right. So he sent me the pad and I ended up really liking it. It was the Invader V2. So I made the video off of that, and it was just fun, you know, like I didn't really put much thought into it. I just kind of did whatever I felt, worked with it, and showcasing the rim and all of that. And he said the day I put out that video, the traffic on the site spiked like 60%, and all of a sudden that became like the pad to have.
Yeah.
And that's actually when it finally hit me. I was like, okay, this is huge. So that was really fun. That was a really fun experience. They ended up sponsoring me for my 2009 season at Cavaliers. So I'm very thankful for that. Thank you, Off-Road Percussion.
Yeah, right. And so Off-Road blows up because of what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Pearl gets on board.
Yeah.
You're using a Pearl drum. Innovative gets on board.
Yeah.
Right. So you're telling me you're making the Lion King video in one night.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's like turning into real money, gear,
sponsorship,
support, sponsorships. Mm-hmm. I mean, it doesn't sound like you put that much work into it. It's really clever.
Yeah, it was just the timing. Like YouTube was fairly new. Like you said, people take this activity so seriously, especially around that time. To have that is just so weird to see. But yeah, Rudy Gowan at Pearl, who was at Pearl at the time, he reached out to me and was like, "Yeah, I'd like to. If you want to play on we'd like to give you a Pearl drum if you just make your videos on it." So, yeah, they sent me that Pearl drum, and that was amazing. I still have that drum.
Right.
I still play. Yeah, they made a bunch of videos on it, continued the audition thing, and it just continued to get bigger and bigger. In 2010, I was at Tyler Junior College, and we did a clinic over in Belgium with Dynasty. So we got to go over, do some shows, and do some clinics. The craziest thing that happened there was I was walking around. I think we were somewhere in Belgium, and it was at a drumming competition, I guess, or like I can't remember. It was like a marching band competition, something like that. There was a guy that was walking. I was in a hallway, and he was walking, and he recognized me. He's like, "Banished Beyond." And this is overseas, and that's when I was like, "Oh wow!" So this has made it over here too, and that's insane. Same thing with Japan, man. When the Cavaliers went to Japan.
I was just thinking of, we went to Japan after the 2010 season to do a bunch of clinics.
Right.
And what this reminds me of is we get on this bus and we go like 6 hours into the hills. Like we're in, it feels like you're back in time, right? Yeah. And we go to that school. Mm-hmm. First of all, they were serving us beer in a middle school, if you remember. And we're eating like octopus. And then we're like drinking in front of all these kids, which was awesome.
Who have Cavaliers uniforms on.
And the little kids have the Cavaliers uniform. And it's like, this is unreal.
Yeah, man.
And I think what you've accomplished with the Banished Beyond thing is even beyond that, because it's from a place of humor, and because it is like this silly concept, but at the base of it, you are a great drummer. And I don't think it would work at all if you weren't good. I seriously think that was such an important part of it. Mm-hmm. And I'm reminded now of if you've seen EMC Productions, my buddy Eric Carr. He's in the Marine Drum and Bugle Corps on the quad line there. I marched United with him, and he marched Carolina Crown in 2010 on quads. And he's doing kind of something similar, but his production value, he's kind of taking your model and like it's on steroids. And he's putting much too much time into it. Yeah. But
they're amazing, man.
They are incredible. He's filming videos where he's like a 10-man bass line that he films in 10 takes and it's clean.
Right.
How much post-production, we don't know. But he did a video on like his revenue, and he's making like $4,000 to $5,000 a month.
Really?
Yeah, dang. On top of his Marine salary. So this creativity and this like excitement around like the activity doesn't have to just be like this fraught competitive thing where we're like butting heads. It can be like funny and it can like go beyond the cores. Like, yes, you were like in Blue Knights and you were in Southwind and Cavaliers, but also like you picked up like the little identity markers of these other drum corps that you obviously respected. Yeah. I mean, you put time into learning these licks. It's not like you were just crapping through them, like you were playing them, right? So it kind of transcends like the kind of the walls that we put up when we march. And I think that experience for you might have, in my mind, culminates with the Mike McIntosh drum battle at WGI, where it's
Oh
you
my
and Mike
gosh.
McIntosh,
Yeah.
who becomes your arranger the year after that, I believe.
Yes.
And that video, we just looked it up before we started filming this. It has 22 million views.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Man.
22 million views.
And that video that was like a spur of the moment type video. Like it was in 2009 WGI finals. I was there as Banished because I wasn't marching. So
Right.
I had the freedom to walk around in the mask and just have people take pictures, sign autographs. So I thought that was a really cool experience. I think I was at the Off-World booth doing signatures, and then all of a sudden they come up. Mark Reynolds comes up, and he's a Dynasty, or yeah.
I think he was a Dynasty
at the
rep,
time.
yeah.
And he was like, hey, Mike McIntosh wants to do a drum battle with you, and we can get you set up with a drum and a spot in the lot, and we'll make it happen. And I was like, oh man, that's interesting. He's like, in 5 minutes. And I was like, whoa, like I had no preparation.
You put the mask on all like badass. Let's do this.
Right. Yeah, it was crazy. So it was a last second thing. I had 5 minutes to think about what I was gonna do, and I was freaking out because it's Mike McIntosh. And
Right.
it was interesting, man. I actually ended up ripping my pants in that video. You can't see it, but actually, I dropped my stick at one point, and when I went to go pick it up, I picked it up really fast, and I hear this. I was like, oh. And then I felt the breeze. You can actually see the people behind me as I pick up the stick. They kind of like do this thing, and they're like looking down, and sure enough, yeah, I checked, and it was like from the top of my pants in the
Wow.
back all the way down to my calf.
Wow.
I destroyed that.
That's really
I
funny.
destroyed those pants. So I did the whole back half of that with my back half showing, and that's another reason why I played so bad in that, because one, I was nervous. Two, I thought I was fully exposed. Like I didn't know the extent of it.
Wow.
So I was just like so scared the whole time. And it's crazy that video reached 22 million views.
It is wild, especially because our reach is just not. It's not that is extremely unusual.
Yeah.
And like for like my personal example would be that Omaha video. There's like
Right.
that video from 2011 Cavaliers that
It's a great video.
inexplicably, it's a great video. It's pretty clean and it's pretty good, but inexplicably, it has like 1.5 million views, and it's just like, why does this happen? You know what I mean? It's like the algorithm that leads to this kind of exposure is just so specific, and I don't know, you've provided this like interesting method for like putting yourself out there, and I appreciated that you didn't take it so seriously, and even you're willing to explain that you ripped your pants during this drum battle with this guy who's like kind of a legend, and kind of like becomes the person that leads us to that next level marching. So I love that like Eric is putting that time into it, and he's good. He can drum. The Marine Drum and Bugle Corps drum line is clean.
They're so good.
They're
man.
so good.
It's
So
amazing.
I think we need more people who are not so like taking this so seriously and are willing to like create alternative media that makes drumline fun, because I think we are so competitive at the top level that we lose a little bit of the fun. So, and I think you've been an example of someone who has both gotten extremely good. You've been through the ranks on every level. You now teach at the highest level, and you're willing to kind of like take a risk, put yourself out there. And I saw recently on Instagram someone post the Lion King lick. It's not gone. Yeah, like very recently.
Jeez.
I think it was Amanda Muse who kind of has a little Instagram following.
When Lion King came out, yeah.
And she posted the lick, so it's still out there. Off-World probably wouldn't be where they are if it weren't for you.
Yeah.
And I think those videos are still funny today. You know what
Thanks,
I mean?
man,
So
yeah.
I don't know if you'll ever make a resurgence, but
I'd like to. I think it'd be awesome, actually. I think what's cool though is like the bridge between Eric and Banished Beyond was that BIOS, BYOS thing.
yes, yeah.
I feel like that's a great movement too, because it gets kids wanting to record themselves and put themselves out there
Right.
without fear of being made fun of or anything. They just they do it because they like it, and you can see them having fun. Whether stick tricks, whatever, like whatever the focus is, like the fact that they're putting themselves out there, like I appreciate that. I think that's an awesome thing. And
Not to mention, Ralph Nader of BYOS has done videos with Travis Barker.
yeah.
I mean,
Oh my gosh,
this is
yeah.
the exposure that we need is
Right.
to make this accessible to that wider audience, to start to work with other kind of mediums, you know what I mean, and making it something beyond the niche technicality that we're all so drawn to. There's something broader, and I think that we've started to see that, and it's only been, I mean, it was about 10 years ago that you really started that. So where is it going? You know what I mean? Like now that YouTube is where it's at, and the revenue and the methods of marketing have expanded, and it's exciting to see where it'll go. And to get someone like Travis Barker involved is like it's a signal
huge,
of what we can do.
Yeah.
But hey, man, I am so excited that we got to kind of catch up and do it in this like insane venue here at Flo and talk about your experiences. And I just appreciate that you took your time out to chat for a little bit. So thank you so much, man. Yeah, it was great.
Fun, yeah.